guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm actually going to be just talking about what I do when I come back from an artist alley, whether it's the practical side of things or the artistic creative side of things. I find that they can be divided pretty evenly into those two different categories, and the more artistic inspiration side actually is really independent on whether I tabled or not. I find that when I'm attending an artist alley, I still get the same benefits from that. But we can go ahead and just jump right into the more practical things that I do when I come back. So the very first thing that I do is I actually take inventory of all the product that I have left over. So before I go, I have a Google Docs that's just full of which pieces I brought, which sizes, and how many of everything. And then when I come back, that's when I actually look through everything and mark down how much I have left over or which ones sold out. I also keep special note while I'm at the con, and this is pretty much the only inventory thing that I keep note of, but I keep note of which ones sell out when. So if I have one that sells out on the very first day, that means that I was very underprepared for how well that print would do. And if I have one that sells out on the very last day, on the very last hour, then it means that was probably a pretty good amount of prints for that size of con for that particular piece. I also pay attention to ones that just did not sell at all, and I completely cut those from the conventions so that I don't bring any more of that and I don't waste space on it. And the next thing that I do, which is kind of a combination of both the artistic stuff as well as the practical stuff, and that's where I pay attention to which ones really did sell the best. And then I try to keep track of what things are the same between those. Also, what things people specifically noted when they were responding well to specific pieces, because I want to be able to create more stuff and more artwork that responds to people that they love and has those key elements. And it's actually kind of interesting because different things perform better in person than they do online. So I want to pay attention to which ones really do end up being a better seller in person, because those can be ones that I can remember to bring more at conventions. And then the next thing I do is I like to write down all of the key things that I want to improve on for my table. So every time I go, I have things that I improve on for the next convention, things that I display better, things that just look better because I have a better tablecloth, or whatever the case is. There's always improvements that can be made. And most of those ideas actually come from looking at other artist tables and seeing what they're achieving that I wish that I was. But I also pay attention to things that just didn't function as well as they needed to and solutions to those problems. So I write all of that stuff down pretty much as soon as I get back or the night of the con, because if I forget about those things, I won't be able to solve them in time for the next con. I'll completely forget about it until I'm there the next time, and then I have to struggle with those things or wish that I had done those. So I mark down everything. For one example, for the table that I had, the newest one, and I'll put a picture up of it at Denver Comic Con, I had to change a lot of things about it because I was flying there as opposed to just driving, which is what I normally do. So things had to be a little bit more compact and weight conscious. And one of the things that I ended up doing is I had two pillars of grids, basically, where I had hooks hanging from it and merchandise hanging from those hooks. And I really love the utility of it. But one thing that I do want to improve on is I want to be able to hide the grid with maybe some sort of fabric covering. I think that that'll look a lot more professional, especially looking at other tables that have really professional, clean, seamless looking displays. They don't have things like that showing, and I know that I would prefer that as well. So that's something that I'm going to look for new solutions pretty much as soon as I can so that I can get it updated before the next convention that I go to. But finally, the thing that I love being able to take home after in Artist Alley is actually all of the creative inspiration I have after it. And if you've attended an Artist Alley, you've probably experienced it too, where you're surrounded by so many different artists that are hitting all these key notes for you. And that was really interesting because I found that at Denver Comic Con, there were so many artists that had art that I loved, that I was really responding to, and they had all these things that I wish that I had in my work. And it's always really fun to go to those things because it gives me this really strong urge to come home and draw better stuff that fits those criteria and makes it my own. And that's what I wanted out of this one. Every time I come back, I always have all these new ideas and desires that I want to get out of my artwork, but I oftentimes don't actually turn it into reality. So when I came back, I actually started doing some research on on art, on being more professional, on all of these different key things that I want to be improving on. And I'm actually going to link directly to an article that I found that was extremely helpful. The article was actually written by the artist Gavin Gray Valentine, and he was talking about actually a lot of stuff about conventions and the perceived value of your work, but also he talked about how you want to have a very cohesive body of work that gives an emotional response to the viewer. And that's what I feel like I'm missing with my work. And he talked about how he has 5 different keywords that he wants his artwork to fit into. And he says that he has, or he makes sure that every single piece fits at least 3 of those words. And I thought that was a great idea. I've had similar ideas, but I've never really acted on that. So I actually wrote down a list as soon as I got back of, actually it ended up being 7, so I need to cut a few out, but a few words that I want my artwork to be, that I want to have that emotional reaction when you witness my entire body of work. So I'll actually be doing a video in the future about specifically the keywords that I chose for myself and how I want to make that happen. But that was really inspiring and insightful, because that was something that I felt was lacking in my artwork that I was displaying at the Comic-Con and pretty much any con that I've done so far, is that they don't have a really strong emotional response in the way that I wish they would. So this is really good and exciting. It's giving me a lot of forward momentum into learning new ways to interpret what I want it to be into reality. That is pretty much it for today. I actually really enjoyed just talking about some behind the scenes art stuff and the more mental side of it, because I find that probably at least 50% of being an artist is thinking about it and thinking about ways to get better at it. But I would love to hear from all of you. How do you like to come back from cons? How do you take care of yourself after these very stressful sometimes or just exhausting weekends? I know that I have to take lots of naps and drink a little bit of tea and relax, but yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys how you like to have these types of experiences. But I will be back on Saturday with another video where I'll actually show some artwork, and that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then.